Now at 9, police in Newton County find an escaped inmate and get him back into custody.
Hurricane Ian makes landfall, expected to leave widespread devastation. I'm Mother Rivera in Tampa with the latest details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Newton County authorities say an escaped inmate back in custody. Michael Durison escaped from police custody back on the 18th while being treated at Freeman Hospital in Neosho. Newton County authorities were holding him on a fugitive warrant out of Louisiana. Yesterday, police found Durison in a travel trailer in Joplin. He's now facing several new charges in Newton County, including assault, robbery, and armed criminal action. A woman was also taken into custody at the scene. An upcoming panel in Joplin aims at addressing child care challenges and possible answers to those challenges. Amy Kaufman is one member of this panel. It was formed by the Alliance of Southwest Missouri. Kaufman and a few others started talking about the issue of area child care. The panel is going to meet next month. It will include members from the Alliance of Southwest Missouri, Joplin's Chamber of Commerce, workforce experts, also child care workers. Kaufman says the ultimate outcome of this panel is to increase the local labor force.
And in fact, it is cheaper to have a child in college. In-state tuition, college tuition is cheaper than infant daycare. So part of the problem is affordability. It's very expensive, and that's why people aren't in the workforce. They have to stay home.
The panel is going to meet October 20th at the Advanced Training and Technology Center in Joplin. It's right next to the Chamber of Commerce building. It's open to all public, and community members are encouraged to submit child care challenges of their own. You can follow the Alliance of Southwest Missouri on Facebook for more information. For the next 4 Wednesdays leading up to the panel, we're going to have a series of stories highlighting the different child care challenges in the area. Kicking things off tonight, KOAM's Jalen Banks shares with us the story of how one single mother has navigated the challenges of child care in Southwest Missouri.
Grace Van Sickle, a single mother of 3, has been providing for her happy family, but has faced some challenges.
When I only had my one daughter, my oldest daughter, and it was about $120 a week just for her to go full all 5 days, and I wasn't working all 5 days at the time. I was just working part-time, so that's why I didn't go with those.
Had she continued with the provider, she would have paid $360 a week for a total of over $1,400 a month. Despite living in Joplin, she now takes her children to a provider in Seneca, where she now pays $600 a month for childcare. But she's paying $60 to $80 a week on gasoline because of the commute. She is not alone in that. According to childcareaware.org, over 50% of parents spend more than 20% of their income on childcare.
Yeah, if it's closer to save me gas mileage, I mean, I'm driving 30 miles there and then 30 back every day. So yeah, if it was closer, that would be nice.
Another challenge that she has faced with childcare are waiting lists, and says it's difficult to find care for one child, and having 3 has made it harder. Van Sickle understands that there is a fine line between affordable care and properly compensating workers.
I mean, even with the deal that I'm getting, it's still a big chunk out of my paycheck, and I just don't think I agree that they should be getting paid. They're watching your child, but it's definitely a struggle.
In Joplin, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
Good job!
Van Sickle, of course, is just one example of what hard-working single parents are facing in Southwest Missouri. The next story in our child care series is going to focus on challenges child care providers themselves face, things like retaining employees, funding, and facilities. A venture capital studio in Joplin is celebrating the first cohort of Joplin area builders. Builders and Backers is a cohort and business accelerator program that seeks to help people grow their business startup ideas by helping them flesh out those ideas, maybe provide some grants even. An associate says all ideas are welcome.
We always need new items, new ideas, new businesses, and I think it's important, especially for the Joplin area, because of all the damage that the tornado did years ago. Make sure that people are coming to Joplin and are wanting to build businesses here and are wanting to move here.
So far, 10 entrepreneurs in the Joplin area have gotten funding for those ideas. Meteorologist Doug Kennedy joining us now. to me, just perfect temperatures today, man.
Yeah, it's been great all week long. We've had a nice stretch of very nice weather across the region. Plenty of sunshine, hardly any clouds all week. Temperatures today, 81 for a high, started at 55. Normal high 77, so just a smidge above where we should be for this time of the year. Still clear skies, getting kind of chilly out there. We're going to have clear skies throughout the overnight hours tonight, and you can see this holds across the entire Central Plains. Of course, we'll talk a little bit about Ian, which is now moving into central parts of Florida. Back here at home, temperatures great, 60 in Stockton, 62 in Fort Scott, 69 in Parsons. We have 69 in Welch, and then we go down to Anderson, sitting at about 65 degrees. By morning, 51, 56 at 9, 68 by noon, high temp of 78 degrees. We'll look at the rest of the week into the weekend here in just a bit.
Mr. Doug Eddy, thanks so much as always. Hurricane Ian pummeling Florida's Gulf Coast today. Hurricane force winds, heavy rain started devastating communities. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more.
Hurricane Ian makes landfall along Florida's Gulf Coast, whipping up catastrophic winds and leaving thousands in the dark.
Hurricane Ian barreling down on southwest Florida Wednesday afternoon. At times, damaging winds topping 150 miles per hour knocked out power for hundreds of thousands of people. On Sanibel Island, gusts pushed a devastating storm surge as Ian moved ashore.
The safest thing to do is to find an interior portion of your home without windows, hunker down in that area, away from what could be windborne debris.
Ian will slowly track across the Florida peninsula, dumping more than a foot of rain over parts of Tampa, Jacksonville, and Orlando. Forecasters say by the time this hurricane leaves, parts of the coast could see storm surge reach 18 feet. People here have prepared for the worst.
I've been here 45 years, and this is the first time I left for a storm. The water just really scared me, and as well as the path.
The rest of the day we're in. We're not going to be out again until probably Friday.
Some emergency response teams paused service as the weather intensified. Florida officials say crews will deploy as soon as conditions allow.
We do have some people who've chosen to hunker down in some very vulnerable areas, and so that is going to be something that I know that they're keeping a very close eye on.
Later this week, forecasters expect Ian to turn north, hitting the Georgia and South Carolina coasts. In Tampa, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another four-state hero. Nicholas Renfro has served in the U.S. Army, and we are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Nicholas Renfro, a native of Pittsburgh. He's tonight's four-state hero. Doug Eddy's next with a complete look at the forecast, and later it's rivalry week for Pitt State and Moso football. Going to hear from the Lions on preparing to hit the road to Pittsburgh in sports.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a great day for us again today, even though we need some rain, but plenty of sunshine and pretty good temperatures across the region. Nice shot of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri, but clear skies continue. Temperatures have been great. We were a little warmer yesterday, mid-80s, and then about 80 for a high today. The humidity is low, so it doesn't feel sticky across the region. Right now, we're sitting at 72 Independence, 65 in Grove, 69 in Parsons, 65 in Pittsburgh, Carthage 65, Cassville also at about 65 degrees. Looks good, 7th in Rangeline, currently sitting at 66. Humidity is at about 42%. We have clear skies. We don't have anything going on here. We don't even have any storm systems across the Central Plains. If we go out toward the west, here's the beginnings of our next storm system, but this is going to take a long time to get here due to Ian, because he's going to ride up into the eastern third of the country and kind of block up the upper level pattern. So we're not going to see really anything move in, but look at that eye wall as it makes landfall just north of Fort Myers, and now that center of the circulation right across central Florida. You lose the eye once you get over to ground because the hurricane likes warm water to feed on. Over the ground, you don't have any warm water, so it's in a massive weakening stage right now. You can see that circulation right across central parts of Florida, but on the back side, you still get tremendous storm surge that has been 4 to 7, upwards to 10 feet, and will continue even as the storm passes by over the next day or so. It landed as a Category 4 at about 3 o'clock. Now it's down to a Category 2. Winds gusting upwards to about 100 miles per hour. And you can see it kind of meanders its way. So by tomorrow evening, it's back out across the Atlantic as a tropical storm, makes landfall again in South Carolina once we get into Friday afternoon. So Ian's going to stick around for a little bit longer for the southeastern parts of the U.S. For us, we're pretty calm. We drop back upper 40s to near 50 by morning. As we go into the noon hour, upper 60s to lower 70s, and then we top out upper 70s. Carthage 77, Grand Lake 77, 78 in Chanute. Tomorrow night we back down again near 50 for an overnight low. As we go into Friday, mostly sunny skies, maybe a hair warmer, high temps right around 80 degrees as we go into Friday afternoon. All right, starting at 50, 68 by noon, 74 by 5 p.m. I think our high temp right around 78 for us tomorrow afternoon. 81 on Friday, 82 on Saturday. Sunday up to 83, and then at least slight rain chances roll in late Tuesday into Wednesday.
As you mentioned, no drama here, but nonetheless, we're still thinking about the people down south.
Yeah, they're getting smacked.
Yeah. Doug, we'll see in a little bit. Thanks so much. All right, coming up, we're going to meet Logan. A reminder how the American Heart Association helps save lives and how you can help the organization.
We've got your
More than 13 million households in the U.S. are food insecure. That's according to the Department of Agriculture. President Biden today laying out his $8 billion plan to end hunger over the next 8 years. It involves promoting healthy living, expanding the child tax credit, and changes to federal food programs like SNAP. Well, this Saturday, walkers are going to gather at Missouri Southern State University for the 4 States Heart Walk to benefit the American Heart Association. Fox 14 and KOAM are media sponsors. Each year, walk organizers select a survivor to help demonstrate the reasons why people walk. This year, meet Logan.
That was right after her surgery.
Pictures tell a story, and for 4-year-old Logan, her story is a miracle.
Do you want to go all the way to the top to see?
Shortly after she was born, doctors discovered a heart murmur and a pulmonary stenosis. Her parents learned she would need surgery someday.
Anytime I think your child undergoes any sort of procedure, it's, makes you a little nervous. And so I think that's kind of how we felt, a little anxious about it.
By age 3, Logan's symptoms had worsened. It was evident that someday had arrived.
And at nighttime, we could hear her really breathing hard and having some hard time breathing. She couldn't keep up with her brother. She would just stop doing activity. She would want to be carried a lot. And so those things were what we noticed most with her.
In April, Logan underwent a 5.5-hour surgery at Children's Mercy in Kansas City to repair that hole in her heart. Doctors also performed a pulmonary valvectomy. Her parents noticed an immediate difference.
She was up playing the next day, riding a tricycle before she left the hospital. No shortness of breath, not tired. Her color was the best I've seen. So yeah, she did really well with her surgery.
Today, the spirited 4-year-old enjoys a quality of life that's brand new.
She's made comments, I can breathe better, and I'm not tired, and I can keep up with Charlie, or I can run, and she doesn't want carried as much, and she just plays, and she doesn't stop now.
Stephanie and Brandon credit the doctors and nurses with Logan's recovery and are grateful for the research advancements that made Logan's surgery possible. But most importantly, they point to the strength of one brave little girl.
She just doesn't let things get her down. She's just really a fighter.
Logan and her family are going to be at this year's Heart Walk. I'll be there too. Doors open Saturday morning at 9 at the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center at MSSU. Hope to see you there. You can find more information at 4 statesheartwalk.org. That's still ahead. TikTok facing lawsuits and accusations that it's harmful to kids. Flight attendants at United and Southwest Airlines staged demonstrations at more than 20 airports across the U.S., including Boston, Cleveland, Baltimore. They're calling for better pay, also increased staffing levels. A shortage of airline workers is partly to blame for hundreds of thousands of flight cancellations and delays. The industry is down more than 50,000 workers ever since the pandemic. An expert in AI, artificial intelligence, suggests voice-controlled smart devices, things like Siri, could harm social and emotional development in children. The article, published in Archives of Disease and Childhood, claims unlike human social interaction, smart devices can't provide feedback if a child speaks inappropriately or give children context to the questions they ask. TikTok facing dozens of lawsuits across the nation from parents who allege the social media app is harming kids. Fox News correspondent Jillian Turner has this story.
In dozens of new lawsuits, parents are now holding social media giants Meta and TikTok responsible for severe damage to their kids, calling the platforms dangerous. They are blaming them for everything from anxiety and depression to eating disorders and substance abuse. In 7 of 70-plus suits, the plaintiffs are parents whose children have committed suicide. Most of these suits take aim at Facebook's parent company, Meta, followed closely by Snap, parent company of Snapchat, then ByteDance, parent company of TikTok. The Pharmaceutical Journal is out with a new explosive report that reveals TikTok promoted prescription drugs as weight loss solutions to teens and kids.
I think the reason why parents need to be concerned about young people spending a lot of time on screens is really about the idea that their brains aren't fully developed yet.
A bipartisan bill is now working its way through Capitol Hill, spearheaded by Senators Blackburn and Blumenthal. They say they're cracking down on the very real danger posed by these apps.
One of the things we have learned from parents is that they want a toolkit to protect their children online. Many of them did not realize what was happening until the pandemic hit.
This isn't just a crisis here at home. Across the Atlantic, TikTok is now facing a $30 million potential penalty in the UK for breaching data protection rules for kids. In Washington, Jillian Turner, Fox News.
All right, here's your chance to bring back a discontinued menu item from Taco Bell. Yeah, I'm going to learn more about this, going to learn more about it next. We've come all. You're just talking about Taco Bell, our memories of Taco Bell in a way. One fast food chain wants you to chime in on which discontinued menu item to bring back. Taco Bell is letting fans choose between 2 items, all right? The double-decker taco or the enchilada, a Tex-Mex tortilla with beef and more, similar to an enchilada. Rewards members can cast their vote through an in-app voting experience. Now, fans have until October 6th. The winner is going to return before the end of the year. The item is going to return before the end of the year for a limited run. They always do that, you know, for a limited time only. They think it's special, or they're just teasing us. Let us have it. 30 more minutes to some other sports coming away. Area first responders get training on how to respond to a disaster involving children.
It's getting harder to leave Russia as the Kremlin steps up its military mobilization. I'm Trey Yingst in Kyiv. I've got the details coming up.
Representatives from the Joplin area community and state of Missouri discussed pediatric disaster response and emergency preparedness today. KOAM's Yana Atala learned why this training is very important.
A crew from Texas A&M is in Joplin, teaching others about the needs to be prepared to help kids during a disaster.
We don't have a lot of advanced pediatric care, so this gives everybody a chance to see the latest and most informative training they can get.
The training helps responders know what to do if an event such as 2011 Joplin tornado occurs here again.
There were children that were displaced from their families, and there were children that were probably orphaned during the tornado in 2011. There were incidents with where children ended up in shelters or they ended up in hospitals that weren't children's hospitals.
Trainers like Miller travel the country discussing strategies, methods, and techniques that could help.
Pediatric surge in the hospitals or in the pre-hospital setting to how we shelter children if we have a mass sheltering incident where we have people lost their homes and we have to put them in a shelter.
A pediatric nurse practitioner from Neosho says the training is crucial.
There are aspects of working with children that they might not consider, and it teaches them how to just generally work with children, especially when they're hurt and scared and maybe separated from their parents.
It's also good to think about, especially as children may respond differently to emergency workers.
They may either clamp down
or they may even just hide under the desk or in a closet. So having specific training on how to talk to children and how to look for children can really save a life.
In Joplin, Janna Haudala, KOAM News.
The training comes before a large-scale training in November focusing on active shooter response. Sky is no longer the limit with drone technology, right? Pisco Education in Pittsburgh has designed a drone maker kit for kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. How cool is that? The kit is customizable and enables students to use the engineering design process to make their very own drone. Control it too, as we're seeing right there. Pisco Education provides hands-on STEM products not only here in the United States, but over 60 countries.
It is all about making conscious decisions about I want a larger drone, a smaller drone, I want it to perform this way or that. And so it's a very unique offering in the market because most every drone is straight out of the box ready to fly.
Drone maker kits are on pre-sale right now for $70. Will be available for shipment in November. If you are interested in the drone maker kit or any other Pittsco product, you can visit our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Some folks in Oklahoma got out and ran today to show support for first responders and the military as part of the Great American Relay. Relay started in Santa Monica, California, finishes at the World Trade Center in New York. One of the legs of the relay starts at the Afton, Oklahoma Fire Department. The barn there, actually, the Afton, Oklahoma barn, where people run to the fire station in Fairland.
I ran almost 10 miles from, Veneta, out between Veneta and here, into Afton. The running itself is not the important part. I'm running to help support these causes. He's supporting military veterans and first responders. That's the important thing for me.
Trip from Afton to Fairland was 8.3 miles. Regularly exercising with weights can lower your risk of death for a number of diseases. A study of older adults in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found those who used weights had a 9 to 22% lower chance of death. Adding aerobics to that weekly routine produced the lowest risk of death. Working out with weights did not affect cancer death rates, though. State Department warning Americans to leave Russia immediately as the risk grows of a nuclear confrontation in Ukraine. Fox News correspondent Trey Yanks has more now from Ukraine.
As Eastern Europe inches closer to a nuclear standoff, the State Department is urging Americans to leave Russia. The new warning follows a declaration of victory by the Kremlin in a series of referendums aimed at justifying Moscow's annexation of Russian-held areas of Ukraine. Vladimir Putin says once those areas are part of Russia, he'll consider the use of nuclear weapons if they're attacked. But so far, there are no signs of an imminent strike.
No major shifts other than we continue to see, particularly in the Donbass region, the Russians attempt to conduct offensive operations in that area.
Officials here say the counteroffensive won't stop despite the nuclear threat, and they'll keep retaking occupied towns and cities even after the formal annexation expected on Friday.
The major threat for Putin after these referendums is that if his army is driven back, Russians will blame him for not being able to protect Russian territory.
Meanwhile, Russian troops are now stopping most military-aged men from leaving the country. About 300,000 have crossed the border so far to avoid military service, leading to a major manpower shortage. And while the Russian army deals with personnel problems, the White House is announcing new sanctions aimed at choking off Putin's military supply lines.
You see Russian military equipment being replaced with commercial-grade and old technology, and there will be more of that.
The White House says it expects to announce new sanctions on Russia every 6 weeks until the country withdraws from Ukraine. In Kyiv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
A bit later, the Fed's response to the hurricane.
The federal government is readying its response to a massive hurricane targeting Florida, but the impact could be felt nationally. I'm Mike Emanuel in Washington with more on how this storm surge could affect all Americans.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a great Wednesday for us today, but we need some rain. We need some rain very, very badly, and we don't have much in the forecast until maybe next week. So until then, we continue with, in general, the nice early fall-like weather. Nice shot, clear skies, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. You can see our temps over the past 2 days, about 85 yesterday. We hit right around 80 for a high for us today. And temps right now across the board, low to mid 60s. Still upper 60s to near 70 once you get into our western counties. Looks good. 7th, range line. Let's go outside. 66, northerly winds 5 to 10. Humidity is at 42%. Clear skies, no clouds, no rain. Hardly any clouds, any rain across the entire Central Plains. We do have our next storm system, which is brewing in the Pacific Northwest, but it's going to take a long time to get here. It's just going to slowly meander its way off toward the east because Ian is kind of blocking up the upper level pattern and affecting the eastern third of the country. This was a major hurricane. It was a very strong Category 4 as it made landfall. Look at the eye wall right about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So now you're dealing with, on the south side, the ocean being pulled in all the way down to Key West. So we are still seeing quite a storm surge with this, and that's going to be issues as we go through the next 24 to 36 hours. Center of circulation now right across central Florida, and it's actually going to move back out to sea as we get into tomorrow. So it's not a 4, it's not a 3 anymore, it's a 2. Wind gusts right around 100 miles per hour. Ian's going to track out into the Atlantic, a tropical storm, make landfall again on Friday, and then you can see how he just kind of meanders on the east coast. That's what blocks up our next storm system, which is going to keep it from moving in for several days. All right, cool start, upper 40s during the morning hours. By noon, we're going to have plenty of sunshine again, most of us right around 70, and then we'll top out upper 70s for afternoon highs, but plenty of sunshine across the region. Once again, we'll push 80 in our western counties. Tomorrow night, we drop back upper 40s again to near 50 degrees. So another chilly, crisp morning on Friday. Friday afternoon, mostly sunny skies, high temps right around 80 degrees once again. Here's your day planner: 51 at 7, noon 68, 74 by 5. I think our high is going to be 78 degrees. And if we jump to Friday night, we got 4 State Friday night high school football. We're going to hold onto decent weather. Kickoff 7 p.m., 74 degrees, 67 by the fourth quarter. So a pretty good night weather-wise for high school football on Friday evening. 78 tomorrow, 49 tomorrow night, 81 on Friday. Kind of hold into lower 80s, and then at least slight rain chances by next Tuesday and Wednesday.
It's so nice to do stuff outside again.
Yeah, it's getting that time of year. It's almost fire pit season. Yeah.
Check this out. Getting to the end of September, Christmas is going to be here before you know it, right? And for those who celebrate, that means getting a tree, a live tree for many of us. Southwest Michigan, local farmers there reported a shortage of trees last year, and the reason that was the case may be traced to the year 2009. Fox's Ann Lurie reports.
Before buyers are in the market for their annual Christmas tree, even long before the leaves turn, some are out all year long preparing. People like Ted Schrader,
I'm a Christmas tree farmer,
who owns and operates Schrader Tree Farm. He says there's no off-season when it comes to farming pine trees. Schrader only planted his trees 3 years ago, and while he waits for them to grow, he's selling pre-cut trees at his farm. He says these last few years have been tough.
Last year we wanted a bigger order, but we couldn't fill it, so there was a shortage. It was unfortunate because we had to turn people away.
Schrader says there's no one reason it's been so difficult to find a tree. The growth of trees aren't affected much by the amount of rain or drought, but it could be the effects of the 2009 recession. Schrader says after the demand dropped due to economic downfall, there were less trees planted. But why is it being felt so many years later? Because before a tree looks like this, it has to start here. And these kind of crops can take a decade to grow.
And now that's caught up, we don't have enough trees to supply demand. There's a cycle definitely on trees like any produce, so unfortunately, this is going to be like a 10-year cycle on each one of these every year we grow, but I think that we might get a little bit better.
The good news, the return is slow, but it's steady. Schrader says as the economy bounced back, so did planting rates.
You're going to have to just be patient, I think. That's really the only thing there is.
All right, coming up in sports, it's rivalry week for Pitt State and Missouri Southern football. Plus, Joplin Eagles aim to bounce back from their first loss of the season Friday night against Republic. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
This week is rivalry week for Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern football. The Gorillas host the Lions on Saturday afternoon. Both teams kind of on a roll right now. Pitt State's 4-0, ranked 10th in the country. Missouri Southern is 3-1 and on their first 3-game winning streak since 2013. Now the Lions kind of gotten after the quarterback in the first 4 games. They've got 10 sacks so far, which is second most in the MIAA. Now they'll have their work cut out for them on Saturday, facing a Pittsburgh State offensive line that's pretty good and pretty big.
We've got to run around them a little bit. They are big. They're big guys. They move their feet well. I think if we can just do a nice job of moving him off his spot while keeping him in the pocket, that'll pay dividends. And so it just comes from not just rushing with speed, but also understanding where you are in relationship to the quarterback, maintaining pass lanes.
They play really hard, and they make a lot of big plays. But if we can limit those big plays, and we also play really hard as a defense, I think we could be pretty successful.
The Joplin Eagles are 4-1 in their first 5 games of the season. Last time out, the Eagles suffered their first loss, falling on the road to Nixa 49-35. This week, Joplin comes back home, looking to bounce back against Republic. The Republic is 3-2 heading into Friday night. Now for the Eagles, that loss to Nixa last week, obviously not what they were looking for, but it has given them a chance to really see where they need to improve in the final month of the regular season.
It was a great learning experience for us. It really helped us realize what we need to focus on, and just that happens to be tackling and alignment and assignment issues. That was the biggest thing. I feel like personally that we can hang with that team. We shot ourselves in the foot a little bit and beat ourselves at the beginning, and it kind of started off slow. We got to start off faster next time, and we just got to be better at alignment and tackling. Can't dwell on the past, otherwise you're just going to dwell on your mistakes. But we as a program refocus on, seeing what we do wrong, and learning from our mistakes, and like having these great coaches that we have, just telling us what we need to do better and stuff, and we can really enforce what we worked on during the week, and we can bring it into the game on Friday.
Local softball action tonight for Neosho Wildcats. Fresh off a win over Joplin last night, right back on the field tonight at home against Willard. Neosho wins another one, 6-2. They're now 19-4 overall, including 6-2 in the COC. Carly Kennard throws a complete game for the Wildcats while also collecting a 2-run home run. In the Big 8, 2 of the best in the league square off tonight. McDonald County Mustangs at home against Nevada. Tonight it's Nevada winning in extra innings 4-2. Tigers are 18-8 with the win and have won 11 of their last 14 games. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Some Kia owners have to have adjustments made to their vehicles. The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration recalling about 70,000 Kia Sorento and Sportage SUVs from 2016 through 2023. Officials say a faulty tow hitch could pose a possible fire risk. According to officials, 3 fires have been reported, but none thankfully caused any crashes, injuries, or deaths. Kia says it's going to be contacting owners of affected cars who have been told to park those vehicles outdoors until the problem is fixed. Federal government on high alert as Hurricane Ian makes landfall in Florida. We heard about it earlier. This is a different angle, though. The storm is bringing life-threatening conditions, and its impact could be widespread from a federal level. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel explains.
The majority of the state of Florida is in Ian's crosshairs.
The head of FEMA with a dire warning to Floridians in the path of Hurricane Ian. The Biden administration promises to help as soon as the storm moves out. The president called Florida Governor Ron DeSantis Tuesday to discuss federal and state coordination. There are more than 1,300 federal response workers on the ground there. The Sunshine State may be the target, but the storm's impact could ripple throughout the entire nation if critical energy supplies are affected. Some fear gas prices could jump. The president had this to say to fossil fuel companies on Wednesday.
America's watching. The industry should do the right thing.
While the storm is disrupting offshore oil and gas production in the Gulf, with some employees evacuating, the president said the impact has been minor.
Do not use this as an excuse to raise gasoline prices or gouge the American people.
The oil industry says market forces determine gas prices, not companies. In the past, the nation has tapped its emergency supply of crude oil when disaster strikes. But the Biden administration tapped the strategic reserve in March in an attempt to bring down gasoline prices, and now its supply is depleted.
I'm reminded of Dumb and Dumber.
Critics fear it will impact the federal response in Florida. President Biden is set to visit FEMA headquarters on Thursday for a briefing on Hurricane Ian. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Coming up, going to preview the greatest beer run ever. Zac Efron leading the greatest beer run ever in theaters, also Apple TV Plus, about John Chicky Donahue's journey taking beer from New York to Vietnam to his buddies serving the war. We spoke with Efron, the real Chicky, and director Peter Farrelly about the based on a true story movie. And here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
We're going to run for our lives.
The greatest beer run ever stars Zac Efron as John Chicky Donahue, who in 1967 went from New York to Vietnam to support friends serving in the war by bringing them beer. Efron got rewarding feedback from Chicky himself.
He had seen some of the movie and told me that he liked it. And at that point, I felt mission was accomplished and I could talk him and ask him about anything.
How much of what we see happened, even percentage-wise?
90%.
Wow. Okay.
Director Peter Farrelly says the story brought built-in comedy and seriousness.
The idea of a guy taking beer to his friends in Vietnam during the war is ridiculous. But once he gets there, you realize it's real. And the tone just changed naturally. I didn't have to do anything because now you're seeing the horrors of Vietnam.
Chicky notes he never expected to see this on screen.
It was crazy to see someone up there acting not only like me, but the emotional feelings he was expressing was the same emotional feelings I was having.
As for Efron's starring role, given he explores many passions now, like his down-to-earth adventures, there are key aspects he looks for.
Something that they can just be passionate about, finding stories that are going to be challenging to tell. Also, working with a director like Pete that knows what he's doing, that can deliver on every level. So some of those things, or a ton of money.
I didn't come all this way just to quit.
The greatest beer run ever is in theaters and Apple TV Plus September 30th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Oh, Chicky. Not many people can say, Zac Efron. He acts totally like me. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you tonight with video of 13 panda cubs making their debut at a Chinese zoo. Aw. Hey, be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.